Good morning. It's Sunday, June 23rd. Looks like we got some rain coming. It's a big storm that just hit Ontario, heading out our way. So it's also time to put some more fertilizer onto the plants, which are growing just fantastically. So I've got my Power Bloom and my 444, and it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So 3 parts of the 444 and 1 part of the Power Bloom. So I've got a 1/4 cup measuring cup, so that'll equal 1 cup of the Gaia Green on each plant. So let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and put the 3 cups on each one of the 444, and then I'm gonna go back and put 1 cup of the Power Bloom on each one, and we can have a good close look at the plants while I'm doing it. Okay, so sorry, 444 first, so let's just get like a level cup. Put it in here, and I'm just gonna spread it all around the base of the plant, and then a second cup, 1/4 cup. And try to get all the way out to the edges, and 1 more. Try to keep it away from the stem a little bit, you know, just a couple inches away from the stem. You don't want to get up on the stem and cause any burning, because it can be a little bit hot until it's kind of, you know, watered down a little bit. Let's get some Power Bloom now. Okay, and 1/4 cup of the Power Bloom. There we go. Get that on there. And spread it all around nice and even. Out to the sides. There we go. And that should be that. That'll get rained in. Like every time it rains, it'll wash that down in there. It's called top dressing. First cup on the second plant. And I noticed something here. You can see there's some wilting leaves. And of course, I just happened to get a little fertilizer on the leaves there. But why are those leaves wilting? Well, it's because of that right there. So this is some sort of fungus or powdery mildew or something. I don't know what it is, but it's getting the stem, it's killing the plant. I'm going to take this branch right off and chuck it away as far away as I can, because this is going to let off spores and it's going to spread to the rest of the plant. So it's good that I caught it early, and I'm going to get rid of it now. Yeah. So there it is. So let's take it way over here. Just get as far away as we can, because we don't want this getting on the rest of the plants. That would just be a horror show there. So yeah, over the go. There we go. Hopefully that will end any spreading. These are the other plants, wild roses, and you can see that they're actually blooming now. Kind of pretty. It's actually got some nice flowers. So the next one on the list is the one that had the problem there, and it was starting to break down. Remember the metal fatigue thing going down towards the bottom there. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, it looks like it could be healing a little. It's still got a little bit to go, so I'm going to leave this on and tied up for maybe another week or two, just to make sure that that stem heals itself down at the bottom. Otherwise, the plant's looking great. So let's get some fertilizer on there. Now, if you remember, this is where the one plant that did break off, I guess due to the wind and, you know, the back and forth motion. And these are the 2 that I had in reserve that took that plant's place. So these 2 are starting to hook in nicely. The roots are probably getting down to what's left of the Gaia Green fertilizer down there. Starting to green up and looking good. So yeah, 2 plants, but that's okay. They'll basically grow like they're 1 plant in the end. Okay, so everyone's fertilized. Today's rain should wash all that in pretty nicely. The size of some of the leaves on here. It's also, you know, when you're out here and you're feeding and doing things like that, it's always a good chance to go around, look for issues like what's going on here. So sometimes when you see something like that, it's best to just get right down in there and get that leaf out of there, just in case it's some sort of disease. You don't want it to spread. So early detection and removal is a very important thing. So giving all these plants the once over. Gonna wheel it. No, I think it's okay. Boy, this thing's about 3 or 4 inches taller than me, and I'm 6 feet tall. Yes, it's in a pot. It's raising it up a bit, but it's gonna be a monster plant when it's done. You can see the stem on the bottom there. It's got a really nice trunk on the bottom. That way it won't break off in the wind. Next one, got a little dust on the leaves, just kind of get that off. That'll get washed off in the rain too. But you know, nasty leaves, old leaves like this one. You don't want to leave stuff like this on the plant. That's a breeding ground for bad things. So yeah, we'll look for any nasty leaves and we'll just get them all out of there. So one more quick assessment here. What I'm noticing for sure is that these are crashing up against the chicken wire. So I think I'm going to bring the chicken wire. You can see there's a continuous wire, and that's at all the different heights. See, there's one up here on the top. I think I'm going to just take and cut it down to here, and I'm going to leave these little parts here as points, kind of like a barbed wire effect, right? And so I just go around and I'll just cut all these off here until I get all the way around the side. I'm trying to leave that top wire in there. So I'll just carry on doing this and I'll come back and show you the result. So that's one cut down. You can see I leave these little things sticking up, and anything that might try to get over top of there, like a deer or something, hopefully would get poked by these if they try to eat any leaves off. But anyway, this will still provide a little bit of protection, but it'll leave room for the plants to branch out now. And like I say, probably in the end, I'm hoping that this, you know, like this plant and this plant kind of meet in the middle here, and we have one continuous, you know, 8-foot tall hedge going along here. So I guess that's it for today. Had a good look at everybody, got the fertilizer on, cut off some of the wire so the branches have a chance to spread out and be all they can be. You can already see these are already thanking me, and you know, coming out way past the wire. It's I guess a little bit overdue. This little girl is still, I think, is going to be okay. Leave her tied up there for a little bit longer, but she can get her branches out. Everything's doing good. Everybody's branching out, looking good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way things are going right now. Again, just looking down inside one last time just to make sure there's no more of that nasty stuff in there. I think we caught that early, and that's a good thing. Catch it early, get rid of it early, and it does not become a bigger problem. But there you go. That's it for this fine Sunday. And it is going to rain, and we need the rain. I mean, if you look at the grass here, everything's brown. This is so unusual for Nova Scotia, but we have been having a terrible drought. It has not hardly rained at all for weeks. I mean, weeks and weeks, and it shows. Usually this grass is lush and green, and I have to cut it once a week. Now I'm cutting it every 2 or 3 weeks. You know, I'm praying that we're going to get a decent rain here, one that's going to actually penetrate it. I mean, turd floater. That's what I like to call them. You know, whirligig's starting to turn. That's a good sign. A little bit of wind would be nice. We've had absolutely calm weather for like 4 days straight. There's been like no wind, zero, and it's so nice to see it starting to blow again. It rains like for 2 days straight, and just rains and rains and rains. It would be nice to get like 2 inches of rain. That would be excellent. In the meantime, that's it for today. It's Wednesday, June 26th, and boy, the wind is back in spades. It's just so damn windy now. And I've had to actually go around. Some of these were actually uprooted a little bit. And I've gone through and I've put in these slings and attached them to sticks and stuff to try to help them beat this wind. wind is so bad. This is that tall clean chemo plant that was as tall as me, and look what the wind has done to it. It's broken it right over. I mean, check this out. It's completely taken the top off this plant and knocked it right over like that, broken it off, and now that part is going to die. There's no way that there's enough of it left here to keep getting juice from the stem. So I'm going to have to cut this off. Fortunately, it's a fast-growing plant. It'll come back nicely, but you know, this one has also been blown over, and you see that part's dead. So now I'm going to have to take these dead parts off and kind of hope for the best with the rest. But it certainly is a challenge growing in Nova Scotia. I got to tell you, compared to Ontario, I have faced more obstacles here, but that's all right. It just makes you a better grower, right? So onward and upward. Well, I've done just about everything I can do for these poor buggers. They sure are taking it hard here. Got multiple sticks and hangers and things that are holding up these branches. I'm hoping that they're going to come back and heal themselves. They can do that. They'll create like a knot and actually be stronger if they do. Yeah, not looking good. This wind is just hell. You can probably hear it on the video, and you can probably barely hear what I'm saying, but what I'm saying isn't fun, and I just have to get used to this climate in Nova Scotia. It's nothing like Ontario. It's a real challenge. Yeah, well, let the whirligig tell us how windy it is. Some wind right there. June 29th, doing a little bit of watering. Also taking care of a few other things too. As you know, some branches have been breaking, and that's due to the high winds that we get out here, and there's nothing I can do about the wind. But there is something I can do about the branches. So there's something out there called potassium silicate. So potassium silicate is a nice little product, and the silica in the potassium silicate actually helps to strengthen your stems. So probably would have been a good idea to start from the get-go mixing in some potassium silicate with the pH down. However, potassium silicate has the exact reverse effect of the pH down. Make a difference, but you know, again, there's nothing I can do about the wind. I have put stakes in, as you saw. The stakes seem to be doing their job. You know, there's the odd branch that I'm losing that have been broken off. That one was down near the bottom where this one broke, so I'll be removing any branches that are not going to come back. It's best to go ahead and get them off, because dying branches and dying leaves and things like that, they can be they can harbor you know, nasty things. Cleaning out leaves, any leaves that die, you want to get them out of there. For example, here's one right here. You know, that's a done leaf, so there's no sense leaving this thing like that, all curled up. Who knows what's curled up inside that leaf? I don't even want to look and see. I'm just going to throw it off. But anyway, look, here's this one. You know, it broke down at the top here. I've tried, you know, putting slings on them and stuff, but you can see this one is, yeah, that's a done deal right there. So that one's going to go. On the other hand, this one here, it's still got a bit attached to it. So I'm going to take the sling off of this one, which is a lost cause. I'm going to move it over to this one and just provide just a little bit of support for it so that it doesn't break down the stem even further. See how it's kind of split there? I don't want that to go any further, so I take the sling off there. Finally, this plant, which again, it lost its top too to the wind. You can see down in there, it kind of broke off. And but it's coming back. I mean, that's a good thing about cannabis is a lot of times people will take the top off of the cannabis plant to make it branch out more. So every time it loses a branch or something breaks off, it just puts more of the goodie into the lower branches, and those lower branches will take over and lead the way for the rest of the plant. So sometimes it'll make a bushier plant, and some people do it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. Nature did it for me. But these plants are not weaklings. I mean, cannabis plants are used to thriving and surviving in some pretty remote areas that have very harsh climates. They're all survivors in the end, and I think we're going to make it. I'm not sure what kind of end result we're going to get, but what I am doing is I just ordered something called a post pounder. a post pounder is a big heavy piece of metal with a tube in it and a couple of handles. And I'm going to get what they call rebar, some 10 millimeter rebar that's 9 feet or 8 feet high. And I'm going to pound those rebar posts into the ground, starting here at the end. So boom, boom, rebar. Another 2 pieces of rebar right here. So 2 pieces of rebar in between each plant. And then what I do is I take my trellis netting, which is 5 feet wide by 18 feet long, and I've got 2 stretches. So I've got 36 feet of trellis netting. So I'll try to get it up about maybe at the 5 foot level, somewhere around here on the plant, you know, about chest high on me. So it's going to start providing support right now at about that level. As soon as I get the trellis netting on there, and I'll just kind of work it down into the plant so that the trellis netting is buried down in, and it's going to provide support for the plant even when it starts to get wider and bigger and taller. So I think that's probably something, you know, you don't know. I mean, you're used to growing in one place, and then you come to a new place and you say, well, you know, I'm going to grow my plants just like I always do, you know, kind of forgetting that you're in a different climate now. You're in this place called Nova Scotia, basically in the wilderness right next to the Atlantic Ocean, where you get these huge high winds like I've never seen before. So this is all new to me, but I'm learning from it all. And yeah, I'm going to overcome all my obstacles this year. And next year, I will have that knowledge base that tells me what to do early on. So basically those rebar poles are going to be in there all year long. They're going to stay there. I'm going to use them again next year, and the year after. But I'm going to have all that in mind, ready for whatever comes along. We're just now moving into hurricane season. We did get hit by 2 hurricanes last fall, and 1 tropical storm. It turned out the tropical storm was windier than the 2 hurricanes, but nonetheless, it's wind. And I mean, it's high wind. We're not used to getting hurricanes in Ontario, but we do get them here. So I've got to get everything ready, because once those buds start to form, and I'm going to make them big and fat, you know, and when you got big fat buds, they're also very heavy. So they're going to be wanting to, you know, they're going to be pulling the plant around, and they're going to be swaying in the wind, and they're going to look real pretty. But if you don't do something to support that, they're going to come down. We're just ending June, just about to go into July. July is another veg month, so we've got another 6 weeks or so of veg time, at least. So 6 weeks of vegging, you'll be amazed how much these plants will come back, and that will happen with the support and the help of where we live. It's kind of a remote area, and Yarmouth is not a big town. So if you want to find something like a post pounder, you've got, you know, a building supply store, and you've got the home hardware. And if they don't have a post pounder in stock, then off you go to Amazon, and that's where I had to go and order it from Amazon. I'd really like to buy local, but some things you just can't get in a small town. So, but I don't mind. It's you know, it's well worth the price to pay to live here. Finished pounding the post in. This is a post pounder. This is a post, and I just finished pounding all these posts in with the post pounder, and now I'm proceeding to put up. Okay, so all the posts have been pounded in. Time to put up some trellis netting. I've strung a wire across from post to post, and this is just to secure the trellis netting, because each one of these is going to have a 5 foot by 6 foot square of trellis netting over top of them. They're going to grow up through the trellis netting, and that's going to help support them in these windstorms, because looks like I'm about to lose. I've got the trellis netting on this end down here, and you can see this plant not looking too good. This trunk is just lost its ability to carry water and nutrients. It's split right down in there, and it just doesn't seem to be able to get water up to the plant anymore, and you can see it's really drooping. So again, this is another reason why you always have more plants than you need. I'm obviously going to have to replace this plant, and of course, if you remember, I had the double plant that I put in over here. So basically I have 2 plants in this hole. You can see down here, right? 2 plants, one there and one there. So I'm going to separate these 2 plants. I'm going to take this one right here, and I'm going to move it down where that other plant is, and that's going to be a bit of a trick, but I think I can get that done. In fact, I'm going to do it right now before I go any further with the trellis netting. Get this plant out of here, and it's a shame It was a nice plant. It was a nice Keith Richards. But we're just going to go ahead and uproot this thing. Not sure why exactly, but it's all cracked all around the base here. See that? That's why. So it's a real shame. I really hate to do this. You put a lot of work into this stuff, and you see something like this happen, and it kind of breaks your heart. But again, that's why I have extra plants, and I'm gonna use that last extra plant. So this is the last extra plant. So these wind storms have got to be tamed. I'm not going to be able to stop the wind, but what I can do is I can help these plants in the wind. So putting this trellis netting up is the only way that I have of protecting these plants from the wind. Otherwise, they're going to swing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until they finally just do this. And yeah, again, crying shame, but it's too late for this one. This one has no support on it, so you can see there's two plants here. I'm going to take this one right here. I'm going to try to get as much root. I got to split the difference between these two, and I know I'm going to wreck some roots, but the roots will grow back. I'm not worried about that. And then I'm going to try to take a little more dirt from around this side of this plant over here and try to get this whole root ball up all in one piece, and then take it down there to the other end. Let's see what we can do. Okay, there we go, lots of root. Let's take it down the other end. Unfortunately, I still have some of this WP 420. So you can see there's still nice roots on that plant. This plant will come back just fine. That's not going to hurt it at all. So I'm just going to have to fill that hole with some of this WP 420. And of course, I'm going to have to water it in. Whenever you transplant, you always water in. So I got that WP 420 in there. It's going to pack it in a bit. Make sure it's nice and snug. That's just going to make this plant grow faster, grow bigger, grow better. Doesn't have to compete with the other plant. Now it's got it all to itself. It can go ahead and be all it can be. Time to tuck in the other one. Okay, let's get this pretty one tucked in, ready to go. Okay, that one tucked in. You see it's already wilting a little bit. Put a little support piece on there too, just to, give it a little extra support until it gets the roots in there. I think before I put the rest of the trellis netting up, I'm going to go ahead and water these two. The one that's now missing a plant, and the one where its partner went over here. So they're, probably give everybody a little bit of water. We have had some rain lately, so they're not really in need of water right now, but always, anytime you transplant, water. Okay, so lots and lots and lots of water. My trellis netting, that's 5 feet by 18, so I need these posts 5 feet apart so that it'll take the width, and then each one is going to be a separate piece that is about 6 feet. So we got a 5 foot by 6 foot square for each one. I got 3 more to go, and I've got 18 more feet. So I did the first 18 feet, did 3. This 18 feet, we'll do the last 3. I'm just getting started watering. Just want to talk a little bit. Well, first of all, let's just look at what I've done here. See, I'm all finished. Got all the trellis netting up. Everybody's covered. That one's got a little ways to go, but hopefully it's going to grow up in through the trellis netting at some point in the near future. All the other ones are already popping up through, with the exception of that one, which is starting to come back. I give it a good watering. I am now watering everybody completely. It's going up to 81 degrees here today, and I've got to say that climate change is affecting Nova Scotia, probably more than any other province in this country. It never gets over 80 degrees here. The record high for this day was 77 degrees, and that was probably back, I believe it was in the 1970s. It went up to 77. So 81 degrees here, right here on the Atlantic Ocean, for this part of Nova Scotia is virtually unheard of. But that's the way it goes, and fortunately for me, hotter weather is good for cannabis, but it's not good for the rest of the environment, and it's not good for this planet. So it's a shame that the ocean temperatures are rising, and that's what drives climate change. The ocean temperature is probably a good 3, 4, 5 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it normally would be this time of year, and that warm water drives the rest of the climate. It makes more hot days, it makes more droughts. Like we've had a very bad drought. If you know, the grass is still brown. We've hardly had any rain at all. If it wasn't for my barrel and my watering, these plants would be dead. I'm surprised plants are still alive. Some of them are suffering, and you can see it in them, but it has just been so darn dry, so darn hot, and so unlike Nova Scotia. I'm just going to take note of this this plant. This is where the 2 plants were. And you see this side is all kind of caved in. These little side branches never really got a chance to grow because the other plant was right here, you're taking up space. But now that that plant is gone, you watch these side branches, they're all going to grow out here, and they're going to fill in this little hole that's left from that other plant. This is going to be a nice plant. It's got a really nice structure to it. It's going to be really big. All of them are going to be really big. And hopefully this trellis netting is going to help them get to that extra large size and kind of tame that wind a little bit. I mean, the wind is just horrendous here. I can't say enough about it. It's just a plant killer. I've been told by some of the locals that they just don't even try to grow outdoors anymore. Instead, they build themselves a greenhouse and they grow inside the greenhouse, and that's probably about the only way you're going to tame the wind. I'm not quite ready to build a greenhouse yet. I'm going to try all of my other tricks, things like trellis netting, and some of my other tricks as far as staking up plants and putting extra support on them. I'm going to try to tame the wind, and it's something that's not easy to do, and maybe I won't be able to do it, but I'm going to give it a damn good try. Let's see how it goes. Well, I'm down to watering the transplant, and I'm going to make sure that I use probably most of what's left of the water up there in the barrel on this plant, because again, when you transplant, you're uprooting a plant and you're taking it out, you're exposing its roots, you're plugging it into a new hole. It takes a while. It's going to go into shock. You can see it's already gone into shock, and shock is just what you're seeing in the way it wilts. It will come out of that shock, but it is very, very important to give them a really good saturating watering after you transplant. That gives the roots a really good chance to get their feelers out, to get into the new environment, into the new soil, and really anchor them. So that's it for today on Grow Your Own. Stay tuned for episode 6 and more growing adventures.